Concerns ahead of tough regulations on the use of plastic. Idle quarantine facilities are costing millions to maintain. Meeting between the military chiefs of China and the U.S. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The first stage of Hong Kong's new regulation on disposable plastics will come into effect next Monday. Restaurants and other businesses will be prohibited from offering single-use plastic products to patrons under the measure. Some restaurants have already switched to environmentally friendly tableware, but found it is not very practical. Timothy Lee has our top story.
With the initial phase of the new regulation on plastic coming into force in less than a week, restaurants around the city are getting ready for the prohibition of plastic tableware. At one restaurant that adopted the green measure as early as the beginning of this month, the original plastic tableware was replaced by wooden forks, paper spoons, and rice straws. But paper spoons would disintegrate after being dipped into the soup for less than 10 minutes. Similar problems were observed for rice straws. The shop owner lamented the poor quality of the replacement products, adding she could not even cut through a steak with a wooden knife she bought. Some residents shared similar experiences. This man said while products made with wood or paper are acceptable, he complained they are easily breakable. This woman said paper cups will soften quickly when containing hot drinks and suggested the use of other materials. Starting on the 22nd of April, styrofoam and plastic tableware, including plates and straws, are prohibited from being offered at dine-in options at restaurants even for a charge. Only plastic cups, bowls, and lunchboxes are exempt from the measure under takeaway circumstances. Residents can also purchase them at stores. The restaurant owner noted the rising cost in the transition from plastic to environmentally friendly tableware, but will not shift the economic burden to customers. Under the first phase of the plastic ban, businesses are banned from providing 12 products, including plastic cotton swabs, toothpicks, and umbrella bags for free. Only plastic gloves for non-medical use, tissues and packages used for promotional purposes, and toiletries offered by hotels can be provided for a charge. Another 3 products exempt from the scheme include plastic straws that come along with prepackaged drinks and food items and dental floss. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Following the end of the COVID pandemic, all community isolation facilities in Hong Kong are no longer in use for quarantine purposes, with most sites remaining idle. But it's been revealed that the government is still forking out $3.75 million every month on their maintenance. Jackie Lin reports.
The high maintenance costs for the city's quarantine facilities came to light after the Development Bureau responded to written questions from lawmakers. 3 of the 9 quarantine sites in Hong Kong have been repurposed as dormitories for imported foreign workers in the construction industry and camps for youth development and national education. But for the other 6 centers, including the largest one in Penny's Bay on Lantau Island, which has nearly 10,000 units, the government has to pay monthly cleaning, electricity, and other expenses to maintain their standby status. The expenses for the Penny's Bay facility alone stand at $1.7 million, while the Lok Ma Chau facility sets the administration back some $1.4 million. Lawmaker Rebecca Chan says some isolation facilities should be converted into transitional housing for people on the public housing waiting list. She said the Penny's Bay site occupies a relatively large area spanning 65 hectares. Chan said the government can consider setting aside 2/3 of its space for single people, who usually have to wait longer for a public housing unit. As for the Kai Tak facility, which is more accessible to the public with its transport network, Chan suggested it be transformed into an entertainment venue for tourists and locals, or a hub with lower rents for startup companies. The Development Bureau said it is reviewing the possibility to repurpose these sites in phases, but part of the Penny's Bay facility will still be reserved for anti-pandemic work. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The government is planning to set up 15 CCTV cameras in Mong Kok as part of an initial testing phase of its plan to install 2,000 across the city. Cameras were placed on lampposts at the junction of Soy Street and Shanghai Street. Authorities stress they only capture footage in public areas, adding that the camera control procedure meets the requirements of the Personal Data Ordinance. Captured footage will be automatically deleted after 30 days. The government noted the main purpose of the installations is to combat crime. More than 600 CCTV cameras will be installed in areas with high people flow in the project's first phase this year. This Sunday is Cinema Day, when all movie tickets will cost just $30. Such tickets have been available since noon today. Several cinema websites experienced network congestions, with many users unable to even enter the web pages. Some theaters said there were queues of more than 10,000 people waiting to purchase the discounted tickets online. All 63 of the city's cinemas participated in the annual event. Residents can also buy the tickets in person at the cinema and are limited to 4 tickets per purchase. Defense Minister Dong Jun held a video call with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Tuesday. This marked their first engagement in nearly 1.5 years. The phone call comes after President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden said last year the two countries would resume direct military talks. Jackie Lin reports.
The hour-long video call was conducted on Tuesday night. Defense Minister Dong Jun said the militaries from the U.S. and China should explore ways to get along and gradually accumulate mutual trust by building a non-confrontational, pragmatic and cooperative relationship. Dong also stressed that both militaries should serve as a cornerstone for maintaining the stable development of the two countries' relations. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin underscored the importance of maintaining open lines of communication between the two militaries. Another spotlight, the Taiwan issue. Dong Jun said it is at the core of China's interests, and the People's Liberation Army stands firm against any activities seeking Taiwan independence or external support for such separatist actions. Austin said the U.S. has upheld the One China principle all along. On the South China Sea issue, Dong noted the overall stability in the strategic waters, but urged the United States to recognize China's territorial sovereignty, maritime rights and interests there, and take practical actions to uphold regional peace. On that, Austin reiterated the importance of respect for the high seas freedom of navigation guaranteed under international law. The last time when the military heads of the two sides exchanged views was in November 2022. That was between then Chinese Defense Minister Wei Feng and Austin in Cambodia. Military-to-military contact between Washington and Beijing stalled after then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan and the saga involving the alleged spy balloons. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Voting has closed across the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific nation's first general election since the government switched diplomatic ties from Taiwan to Beijing. Voters were queuing outside polling stations from as early as 4 a.m. Some 420,000 registered voters could have their say across 50 national seats. The Solomons' closer relationship with China and a troubled domestic economy will be weighing on voters' minds as they cast their ballots. The United States has been working to build diplomatic bridges with South Pacific Island nations since Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare signed a security pact with China. The U.S. has deployed its new mid-range missile system on Luzon Island in the Philippines for the first time as part of the two nations' joint military exercises. The Salaknib 24 exercise between the two countries is set to last for 2 weeks. The U.S. Army Pacific Command said the deployment of the missile system is meant to increase the Philippines' naval defense capabilities as well as to strengthen the U.S.-Philippine alliance. The weapon will reportedly be used to tackle perceived threats from China and Russia. Japanese media noted the missile system has a range of over 1,600 kilometers and is capable of reaching Chinese bases in the South China Sea. Still ahead, the lower house of British Parliament passes a tough new law against smoking. British Foreign Secretary David Cameron visits Israel trying to prevent escalation of conflicts. An exhibition featuring items worn by the late Princess Diana in Hong Kong. Welcome back. The UK is on track to pass some of the world's toughest anti-smoking laws. The British Parliament cleared its first hurdle despite vocal opposition from within Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party. Tracy Furness has more.
Order! Order!
The ayes to the right, 383. The noes to the left, 67.
The British government are aiming to create Britain's first smoke-free generation. Under the Tobacco and Vapes Bill, it will be illegal to sell tobacco products to anyone born after January 1st, 2009. Once the bill is implemented, officials are aiming for 2027, the legal age of sale for people in England to buy cigarettes will be raised by 1 year every year until it is eventually illegal for the whole population. Smokers seem to be in agreement with the proposed bill.
If I hadn't picked up my first cigarette, I wouldn't be a smoker now.
I wish I wasn't addicted to this.
Personally, yeah, I've got 2 kids. I generally don't smoke around them and I don't smoke in the house. I think it's important not to do that, so I do it in my own private time. But yeah, as for selling like vapes, I think is really on the increase and I think it's pretty dangerous. I know a lot of my daughter's friends think it's cool. I think that's how most of us have started because we thought it was cool.
The bill also includes measures to crack down on youth vaping, such as banning the sale of cheap disposable vapes and limiting their flavours to prevent children from becoming addicted to nicotine. It is currently illegal in the UK for anyone to sell cigarettes or tobacco products and vapes to people under 18 years old. The proposed law has the support of the opposition Labour Party and is expected to pass. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces rebellion from more libertarian-minded party members who have criticised the proposal. Kemi Badenoch, widely seen as a future candidate for Tory leadership, was among those to vote against the bill, as were other leadership hopefuls Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick. And smokers' rights lobbying group Forest said the move will treat future generations of adults like kids. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
British Foreign Secretary David Cameron is in Israel to try to get Benjamin Netanyahu to de-escalate as the Israeli Prime Minister plans a retaliatory attack against Iran. That came after Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi spoke with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, who also called for restraint. David Garrett reports.
David Cameron touched down in Israel and said the UK stands with them. The former British Prime Minister hopes they can show restraint.
But we also said Israel is an independent, sovereign country and gets to make these choices. We continue to hope that as they do so in a way that is smart as well as tough, but does as little as possible to escalate this conflict.
Israel's defense minister told soldiers his country knows how to defeat its enemies. Yoav Gallant said Iran does not have the capability to deter them. The defense chief told troops that for any enemy that will fight against Israel, they know how to hit them. Meanwhile, Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza shows no signs of slowing. An Israeli strike on a refugee camp in central Gaza killed at least 11 people. Children were among the dead. Volunteers took the injured to hospital in any way they could. Aerial aid drops continue to be parachuted into Gaza as the UN said it may cost $2 billion to avert famine.
In Gaza, I think we can say clearly today that there are 2 million survivors. Every day is literally a struggle to survive and survive to insecurity because, as we repeatedly said, there is no place that is safe to stay and to live. We're doing all the effort possible to bring assistance, but the reality is that there is very little that we can bring inside Gaza.
Some food is trickling in, dozens, many of them children, gathered for handouts organised by a charity.
This is a completely man-made and preventable situation. The point is that famine, as you know, is not only about food. It's a combination of food, sanitation, water and health facility.
Some survivors of the Hamas attack at a music festival on October 7th went to the Knesset to ask for more financial support. They are experiencing post-traumatic stress. Yoval Raphael said trying to get more help from the Israeli government is like fighting a war. Another victim spoke of flashbacks and being unable to live normally and work. Ben Shimon said he cannot forget what happened, saying he experiences the thing over and over and over again. David Garrett, TVB News.
In the hush money-related criminal trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump in New York, 7 jurors have been selected after dozens of jurors were dismissed earlier. NBC has more.
Tonight, 7 jurors have now been chosen to sit in judgment of former President Trump, who left for the courthouse this morning, then closely watching what one juror who was dismissed described as a surreal selection process.
That it's like, oh, this is just another guy. And also he sees me talking about him, which is bizarre.
Of those selected so far, a salesperson, an oncology nurse, 2 attorneys, an IT consultant, a teacher, and a software engineer. The slow-moving vetting process springing into an animated focus group-like atmosphere, with today's pool of nearly 24 Manhattan residents offering their unvarnished views of the presumptive GOP nominee to his face, under questioning by the prosecution and defense. One man calling Mr. Trump, quote, fascinating and mysterious. One revealing he was a big fan of The Apprentice in middle school. A woman saying, quote, President Trump speaks his mind, and I'd rather that than someone who's in office who you don't know what they're thinking. And a 4th prospective juror telling attorneys, I'm a Democrat, so there you go. But I walk in there and he's a defendant, and that's all he is. The defense team raising successful objections to a handful by pointing out past social media posts, including one who said, lock him up. While the judge fumed at Mr. Trump for appearing to mutter something, warning, I will not have any jurors intimidated in this courtroom. Jury selection is ongoing until 12 people and 6 alternates are selected. The former president is accused of falsifying business records, a low-level felony, by mischaracterizing a hush money payment he allegedly directed Michael Cohen make to Stormy Daniels as legal expenses on his company's books. Mr. Trump pleaded not guilty.
It's called legal expense. That's what you're supposed to call it. Mr. Trump, get indicted on that. Nobody's ever seen it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it.
Meanwhile, in Washington, the Supreme Court's conservative majority appearing skeptical of a federal obstruction law that could affect some charges Mr. Trump faces in a different criminal case. The case in front of the justices about a former police officer who wants charges stemming from his participation in January 6 dropped. The same law Mr. Trump has been charged with in his election interference case. But some of the justices today pressing the government to explain whether the law could unfairly sweep up those engaged in legitimate protests.
What happened on January 6th was very, very serious. But we need to find out what are the outer reaches of this statute under your interpretation.
The late Princess Diana, mother of the future King of the United Kingdom, Prince William, is remembered by people throughout the world, including Hong Kong, for her personality and charitable works. With that, an international auction house is hosting an exhibition in Hong Kong featuring Diana's signature clothing and accessories, which will be open to the public for free starting tomorrow. A Hong Kong art consultant hopes the government can do more to attract auctions to the SAR, leveraging the city's low tax advantage. Jackie Lin had a sneak peek at the exhibition.
Among the centerpieces at the Princess Diana's Elegance and the Royal Collection exhibition in the Tsim Sha Tsui Mall is this 2-piece suit that Diana wore during her trip to Hong Kong in 1989, which included a visit to the Hong Kong Red Cross. The signature suit was showcased in Hong Kong for the first time after Diana passed away. Another highlight is this midnight blue strapless tulle evening gown that Diana donned on 2 highly publicized occasions. Shoes, bags, and accessories that form some of Diana's style-defining ensembles are also featured.
Princess Diana, we lost her tragically in '97, but we still have that vision in our mind, that young, vibrant person that used her power to do so much good work for AIDS patients, children's cancer, everything. She used her power and her influence to raise money. Some of these dresses she sold at auction herself. And of course, she's the mother of the future King of England, Prince William.
While the items are exhibited in Hong Kong, they won't be auctioned in the city. Art consultant Heyman Ng, who is also a lecturer at the University of Hong Kong Business School, hopes the government can do more to attract more auctions to be held in Hong Kong, which would also boost the city's tax income.
We are very delighted to see more international auction houses coming to Hong Kong to do pop-up exhibitions. Thanks to the low tax system in Hong Kong and a very solid law system in Hong Kong, we are still having a big comparative advantage compared to cities like Taipei, Seoul, and Shanghai and Beijing. So for the tax system, we are as low as like 0.5%, whereas in Taipei, this is 1.2%, and in mainland China is 2%. I would like to see more like funding to support the local art community and ecosystem.
The gown, clothes and accessories from Princess Diana will be on display in Hong Kong until April 29th, before being taken to Ireland for an exhibition and an auction in June. Part of the proceeds from the auction will be donated to a charity in the UK. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.